Welcome back to the Navy Sports Magazine. Time to shine a light this week on Navy track and field. Walker Rudisaile joins us. And, Walker, what possesses someone to pick up a long pole? And it's not the most flexible pole in the world. And you have turned that into being a Patriot League champion, an NCAA qualifier. And obviously, you've been doing this since at least back in high school. What possessed you to pick up the pole vault, and what's allowed you to become successful at it?
So I started in middle school actually, and I went to a small enough school where everybody just did all the sports. So when track season came around, it was time to run track, and I did not like running. So I was like, let me do one of the field events, and I was also kind of always in a adrenaline junkie type. So. So I picked pole vault because it seemed like the craziest one, get the highest up in the air, upside down up there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's just like when I tell kids the fastest way to get on the field, be a catcher, be a goalie in hockey or lacrosse. In this case, I mean, look, let's face it, the pool of athletes is probably not as deep in pole vault as it is in other things. As you gravitated toward that though, what was the key in mastering just the most basic technique so you could get over the bar for the first time and start to build some confidence that hey, I can actually do this and be successful at it.
Well, just repetition. Um, you start out really low, especially when you're starting in middle school. You're not actually getting that high up there, and just going over bars over and over again. And then them creeping up, an inch at a time, is really, I think, how I got to where I am now, along with a lot of great coaching.
I was going to say, when did the light bulb go off that hey, not only am I thriving, but I might be able to take this to the college level and help myself get a great education. Clearly either at getting a scholarship somewhere else, and in this case, you've obviously parlayed it into one of the great degrees in the country now in your senior year here at the Naval Academy. When did that moment come where you're like, yeah, I think this can vault me, so to speak, to something even greater?
So I was a sophomore in high school, uh, when I really fell in love with pole vault. And I was like, I'm gonna do this forever. I'll do this at a D3 college if I have to. And then I was jumping about 14 feet, which is, um, I mean, it wasn't gonna get me D1. And then I just kept getting better. And I think the moment when I really thought I could be really great at this, and do it at a much higher level was my junior year when I went to the Texas Relays and PR'd with 15.9 and had a huge attempt at 16 where I put a lot of height on the bar. It was like I jumped high enough, so high I'd never been that high before. But that's when I realized that I could do it at a D1 level.
Kind of a weird question, but describe what that is like being in the air, just in that moment as you're getting to the top of that vault and what that's like trying to contort your body over that line and then what that fall is like coming back down uh, to earth. Because I have incredible respect for you and others that can do this particular event. I mean, this is not, we don't go out and pick up tree branches, when we're 5 and 6 and try to jump over things. It's not like picking up a basketball and just going out to the blacktop and shooting. Just in that moment, what are you feeling up there? What is it like in that moment, that rush of being right there at the bar and knowing you're clearing it and coming back to the mat, so to speak?
Honestly, that's the best feeling in the world. The moment when I know I've cleared a bar and I start the fall, um, I can't describe it honestly. It's just the best. And it's at that point, it's all the work has been put in into the jump and into all your training and everything. But and that's the big payoff. Um, and just like the adrenaline, and whenever um that fall starts and you're totally weightless, and it feels effortless in that moment because it's all about muscle memory, and it's just something you've done 100 times. Um, but yeah, that's the best feeling in the world.
Now, you bring up a good point there, the muscle memory part of it. I love asking individual athletes that participate within the team concept, like track and field is in a lot of ways. For you, is the harder part mental or the physical part of this?
Um, it's definitely a balance. I think I've gotten lucky enough to just do well on the mental side of things. I've been involved in sports my whole life, so I think I've got a good um, game time game time mindset. I'm there to get the job done when it's time to jump at big meets. And and
Is
I
that something? Let me stop right there. Is that something in your mind that just either you get that gene or you don't from a competitor standpoint? And clearly growing up in Texas, I mean, and you mentioned the Texas relays. I mean, look, state of Texas, per capita and per person, is as competitive in terms of athletes, as it gets. So that alone, is a challenge, rising against good competition in itself. But is that just something that you think just happens for you? Either you have it or you don't.
I think maybe initially, but I think if you don't have it at first, you can get it. I think I've just grown up, in sports, and so I had it by the time I was vaulting. I could just put myself in the right mindset to clear bars. But I think I've known people to struggle with that sort of thing. Um, and just doing mental reps and sets, and sort of like learning your own mind and how to control it. I think it's definitely able to be a learned skill as well.
Yeah. When you're heading down the runway, what are you seeing?
Um, Pretty tunnel vision. Not much. I'm looking at into the box, and I'm just making sure my step's not going to be wildly off, because then that gets a little dangerous. But if I know I'm there, I'm not really looking at or thinking about too much. I'm just trying to run fast and going through what I'm going to do in my head.
Is there a target spot in the box, or is it just one of those things by feel that you're going to put the pole in the right place almost all the time because you've done the steps and you've done this run repetitiously at the end, or is there something you're actually looking at in that box to where you want to plant that pole when you jump?
I just look into the box, just at it in general. But because of the muscle memory and everything, I know pretty much all the time I'm going to put it right in the middle. Um, so it's on like a ramp, right? The box goes downward like this, and you
Right.
want it to hit the tip to hit about in the middle of that, and then slide to the back. And just through thousands of jumps, I pretty much know it's going to be there just about every time. And when it feels right, you can hear it hit twice, so it hits the bottom and then slides and hits the back. So it's like that bump, you know. And if you don't hear that, you might be in a tricky situation. So
What's it like to be able to perform practice, particularly during the indoor season at a place like Wesley Brown, which is obviously revered as one of the best, if not the best, indoor track and field facility in the country?
oh, it's amazing. The facility is fantastic, and we've got all the right equipment. We just got a new pit, I think, brand new pole vault pit, I think last year, maybe 2 years ago. It's a little stiff. It was a little stiff at first, but it feels good now. Um, but it's great to just train in that atmosphere with all these other great athletes that I get the pleasure of being on the same team as. And then also, like, I love the view out the huge glass window, and it's right by the vault pit. Like, it's where we spend
Sure.
all the time. So I just look outside, and it's been an honor to get to train there.
Like many athletes at the academy, I mean, there was a time where, with certain things that were going on, it would have been easy to leave and pursue a different path. When you look around the room and you see the other seniors that are still there with you, as you get set to even whether it's taking on Army or anybody else, how much you take pride in looking around the room and seeing the other seniors that are still there, a part of this thing, have continued to grow with you, and stuck this out, because this has not been a normal 4 years for the senior class.
Yeah, I feel a tremendous amount of pride to be on the same team as all of my other firstie teammates. We've been through a lot together. I remember we have a picture still from plebe year for everybody who all of our plebe class who went to Army that year, and we're all wearing masks and stuff. And it's just kind of surreal to think back and remember what we all went through together. And I've been lucky enough, the two other firsties in my event group, Elise Russell and Elena Schloter, they're two of my best friends, and I go to them all the time for advice on jumping and anything else, and help with schoolwork, and we're just all there for each other, and I feel so lucky to be a part of that team.
I was going to say, from that standpoint, especially when you're competing against your arch rival and you're trying to give each other a push, you helping others with their events, and obviously, as you just mentioned, those teammates, helping you. The merging of the two teams, it's all one big happy family. What's that merge been like? And, to that extent, the respect that you all have for each other. And as you said, that cross-pollination now allows everybody to kind of be there and help in that moment to pick up a teammate when they might need it.
Yeah, that's been really great. You hear stories about before I got here, whenever it was two separate teams. Um, and I'm just so glad that I came into it, and we were already rocking and rolling as like the one team mindset. And it's been great to have both perspectives from either end of the aisle, and I think the more the merrier, so doubling the size of the team, going from like individual guys versus individual girls, like when we're all together, strength in numbers, more support for each other, and uh and honestly, I think it works really well.
Yeah, awesome stuff, Walker. Appreciate you taking so much time for us. Continued success to you and your teammates, and still plenty of goals out there between now and graduation. Good luck trying to achieve all of them, and thanks for the time today.
Thanks so much. Of course.